Hello my festival going peeps, this is Kat aka Kakibot, and as always I bring you a video about Edinburgh and Scotland. They overlap most of the time. Some people would fight me on that, but to me they do. Anyway, as you can see I am sat here amidst the Fringe, which is back for 2022. It was kind of slightly back last year, but nowhere near this level of busyness, and we have spent the whole long weekend at the start of the Fringe, basically from the first day, which was officially the 5th. There was I think 2 days of like preview shows on the 3rd and the 4th, but yeah, 5th to like 8th we were out and about during the Fringe to collect some first impressions and make this video for you. Let's have a look what the festival looks like, and later on we're gonna talk about what are some of the street foods that we tried and we would recommend, and what are some of the shows we've seen during that long weekend, and if we recommend those as well, and who we would recommend them to. And also I will mention some special pop-ups for the month of August that some of the local businesses have on. So yeah, let's go explore. Now, the thing that we all probably are the most curious about when it comes to Fringe and all of the festivals, it's the shows. And I think that now in 2022, there's just as many shows as there were before 2020. The Fringe guide is just full of them. It's super overwhelming, and as I told you in my last video, you definitely should give yourself a good amount of time to really get yourself nice coffee or maybe a drink and really go through everything and find that one weird hidden gem that really speaks to you, because that's what happened to me. And that's why this past weekend I got to see more shows than I think ever during the whole of Fringe. So I think that this is actually going to be my busiest Fringe ever. Now there's a lot of the big names, so if you truly don't know what to choose, you can always follow the names that you know. For example, Frankie Boyle is here. He's actually here on both the book festival and on Fringe every night, and alongside him, not in the same show but in their own individual shows, are many of the comedians that do the New World Order show on BBC with him. So if you just follow a lot of comedy on TV, then you will find a lot of those comedians here. Also, I have noticed that many people who are now TikTok famous have their Fringe shows here. Obviously, maybe that's just because previously they didn't have their TikToks, so maybe they were comedians before, I just didn't know their faces, but now I do because they're all over TikTok. So it's just an interesting new dynamic that came into picking who you're gonna see on Fringe. Anyway, now I want to tell you about the shows that we got to see the last weekend, because I think that they were all very different from each other and they are great for different audiences. One thing that we saw was the Queen's Cartoonists, which is a live jazz band from Queens, New York, who plays live music to accompany classic cartoons, and not only super classic cartoons, also cartoons from Aardman, which is the studio behind Wallace and Gromit. So if you like that like classic, I guess it is classic now, British animation, you will super appreciate that. They were super sweet as well. Yeah, I would recommend that as a good show to attend if you're here with your family. Another thing that was supposedly family friendly was Jal Jal's Arigato show, which is kind of this Japanese duo which is extremely famous in Japan. I think that they have like millions and millions of followers on their Japanese YouTube channel, but obviously over here they're not as popular, nowhere near as popular. So it's cool that they're coming here and they're introducing their work to the local-ish audience, because obviously on Fringe you get audience from all over the world. Anyway, they do a lot of improv, they do take a lot of kind of like fun ideas from the audience. It's I would say it's somewhat family friendly, but it very much depends on what the audience comes up with. Then one of my traditional favorites is Dream Guns Film Reads, which is an Irish group that comes to Fringe every year to do their little group stand-up of like reading these parodies of scripts of classic movies from the 80s and 90s. It's so much fun, especially if you like truly know the films, because like some of the references are very specific for people who are like true fans, not to be a gatekeeper, but I just know that if you look at their menu, if you look at their program, just pick the movie that you feel like you know the closest, and it's gonna make up for the most fun. And last thing that I'm gonna mention, we saw a all-girl production of We Will Rock You the musical, which used to be played in like a proper production down in West End in London for 10 years, and I think that they closed that down I think like 3 years ago, and I was super bummed about it. It was my entryway into loving classic rock, which is the lamest way of getting into classic rock, but whatever, I loved it. An amazing, fun show full of Queen songs, which, you know, everyone knows them, so like it's such an easy thing to enjoy, and those girls did such a great job. I loved it. So maybe some of these would be right up your alley, but if not, I would absolutely love to hear in the comments below if you are at the Fringe this year and what you found, or if you've seen any cool shows last year. Because honestly, if you had any favorites from last year's or pre-2020, then, you know, chances are they're gonna be here again. Yeah, share your tips with the rest of the peeps down in the comments below. Now for the bit that I know most of you are the most excited about, the food. Because here in Edinburgh, August is the time for street food. The festival season really brings it all out. Because any other time of the year, I feel like the selection is very limited. So if you're coming from a larger city, I feel like you will always find it lacking. But in August, it kind of gets on the level of like a large city, and we all collectively enjoy it. As you can see by the humongous queues behind me here on George Square, where most of the street food vendors are congregating. We did try a couple of them, most of them new. We did try the Cubano stand, which was exciting when it comes to sandwiches, you know, always up for trying new types of sandwiches. We also tried the Fat Flamingo, which does tacos and nachos. The tacos especially were super tasty. I very much recommend those. And the Japanese street food place called Taberu, which does karaage fried chicken and gyozas, and they fry them all freshly to order, which, you know, amazing. Fried food is always best when it's like fresh out of the deep fryer. And of course we have some of the classics. We have Alandas for both gelato and fish and chips, and they also do lobsters. If you don't have the time to go out of the city and get a lobster in one of the seaside towns in Fife, you can get it here on George Square. It's going to be very expensive, but it's going to be tasty. There's very many mac and cheese options. That seems to be a big favorite, and also quite a lot of hot dogs this year. I've heard from some people that the vegan selection is not very strong. It seems like most vegans feel like they're just doomed to be eating fries and chips the whole time. So if you're a vegan and you found something more interesting than that at the Fringe area when it comes to street food, again, let us know in the comment section below. Yay!
Maybe mention Kushis, because I think they might be
If you feel like all of these queues are very intimidating, fret not. There are so many places around this area to grab some food. I mean, the first one I would go to would probably be Chivarino's, which is always super busy as well, but it is worth it. You can bring a slice or a whole pizza over to the Meadows.
24/7 on Instagram, needing them shoes, deals on the cracks and that, you know what I'm saying? Thanks. What the f***,
Or if you go the other direction towards the south side, I think that's a great place to grab some Asian food, either Indian or even Japanese. There's a bunch of maki and ramens there, I think 3 actually. Well, anyway, I think that I'm gonna end this section because too many people are trying to hijack me shooting here. If you're ever shooting at the Fringe, don't do it here. People are too frisky and excited to jump into our shooting. So we're gonna go now and grab ourselves a dinner. Okay, so before I go, I'm also gonna mention a couple of places that kind of popped up, kind of like festival specials that are going on in town right now, because if you've watched all the way up until this point, then chances are that you're genuinely interested in Fringe or you're coming later this month, so this might be really helpful for you. So one of them is the burger pop-up at the Nice Times Bakery, which is actually in our neck of the woods. We're definitely gonna try that later in August. Another one is so Cocktail Geeks, you know, the little bar in the Arches who do those little themed, like every couple of months they do a little themed cocktail menu. They have another pop-up bar in the city center, kind of close to Bristol Square, so very fringy, very festival-y. It is at the Thomas J. Walls Cafe and it is Old West themed. Again, I super want to try it, but I think that it's only open around the weekend. The one special pop-up that we did manage to visit was at Throat Punch Cafe, which is on Dalry Road, so actually quite far away from the crowds. And they are, during the day, a normal coffee shop, a really nice coffee shop with a dog actually, so better than a normal coffee shop obviously, but now they also open in the evenings. They do have a great selection of coffee-based cocktails, so you have your espresso martinis, your like mocha martinis, your white Ukrainians and all that, and also you can get an old-fashioned or I believe a mojito if you don't feel like something coffee that late in the day. Right now we are next to the Circus Hub, which you might be able to tell because it is getting extremely circusy right now. Sorry, this is really distracting. I would say that the Circus Hub, which is here at the Meadows, is actually one of the quietest parts of the whole kind of like central festival area, because Bristol Square and George Square are really busy, and before you ask, nobody cares about health and safety rules. Like, I have not seen a single person wearing a mask. If you do go to especially smaller shows, it will be quite muggy and hot, and yeah, like nobody wears masks because honestly that might be more of a health risk than wearing one, because like during the second heat wave we're having, a lot of the venues are extremely heated. Anyway, where was I? Yes, the Circus Hub is one of the quieter parts, so I've seen some people just chilling on the grass here, reading a book. That's the level of quietness you will get here in the Meadows, and of course, Meadows in general, a great place to keep it chill. when, you know, there's too much Fringe going on and you just need to get a bit of a, you know, sensory break. Anyway, I think that is it. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions about Fringe 2022 down in the comments below. And if you have any tips for things to see or things to eat, also let us know. We always love to hear that. And everyone who comes to this video who is interested in the Fringe also loves to read through the comments and get your tips. And as always, don't forget to visit me on Instagram and TikTok. And also, if you want to support this channel, don't forget that I have an Etsy store. There's a link in the doobly-doo. You can buy Edinburgh themed goods in there, and all the proceeds go to me making sure that these videos keep coming. Okay, that is truly it for me because there is some singing going on in the circus hub and I just lost all the ability to focus. I shall see you soon.